and thank you for joining us for another conversation with the Walpole-based nonprofit organization Be Inclusive. Today, one of Be Inclusive's co-founders, Kristen Kohlmeyer, and one of the group's lead event coordinators, Cassi Braithwaite, are here to discuss Be Inclusive's 6th annual Juneteenth celebration and their 2nd annual Pride celebration. Hi, Kristen and Cassi. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Can you start by telling us about Be Inclusive's first Juneteenth celebration in 2020?
Sure. So the other co-founder of Be Inclusive, Juneteenth Holmes, decided that she wanted to have a Juneteenth celebration in town back in 2020, and this was shortly after the murder of George Floyd. And she felt the call to just start to do a little bit more work around making sure that the Black and African American community was seen and heard, and that people could come together to celebrate. So just within a couple of weeks, she put together a plan for the event. It was pretty small for the first one. I think it was about 50 people that showed up. But it was a really beautiful event with singing and speeches and just helping folks understand what the holiday was all about and why it was important for everybody to celebrate.
Because the first Juneteenth celebration was so successful, I know it led to basically the creation of Be Inclusive. Is that correct?
Yes.
Can you tell us about the initiative that came after that?
Yeah, so after that, we ended up getting some donations from folks for the Juneteenth event that we didn't end up needing to use. So we wanted to find another way to put those funds into the community and kind of continue the idea of education and helping people understand that particular holiday. So we ended up using the money to purchase some books for the library in town that were about Juneteenth and make sure that kids would be able to find those books and learn about the holiday and, again, just kind of share the education with everybody about what it signifies. And then Shantae and I talked a little bit more about that, and we also started thinking that it would be helpful for all of the elementary schools to also have books. And so we sort of started to come up with this idea of the Multicultural Books Initiative, where we donate now books every single month to the elementary school libraries that are different, diverse books. So initially we gave all the schools the same Juneteenth books so they could get those in the library and start using them to help teach kids in school about the holiday. And then it just grew from there, where we have many different themes and holidays and recognition months that we make sure we get books about, and we send them to the schools every month for them to use, as well as resources for teachers so that they can have an activity or some talking points or whatever to go with the book to use in their classroom.
Can you speak about why books, especially for children, are such an important component of the mission to promote diversity and inclusion?
Sure. So we believe, and there's research that shows that it's very important for kids to, one, be able to see themselves in the books that they have in their classrooms and in their schools. And unfortunately, there can be an imbalance with the characters that are presented in books. Sometimes it can be mostly white characters, or it's like animals or other characters that aren't people. And if kids don't see themselves in their books, then sometimes they don't feel as connected to their school, they don't feel as connected to the curriculum and what they're learning about. So we wanted to make sure that especially kids of color could find books in their library that they could relate to, that had people in them that looked like them, had family situations in them that were like their family situations. And then in addition to that, it's also helpful for kids who are white or from other backgrounds to also be able to find books that have characters in them that are different from them. And that really helps build empathy and understanding between kids, and can help with some of the issues that we see coming up in society around racism and bias and how people understand each other. So it's sort of twofold. We want kids of color to be able to find books that represent them, and kids from different identities to be able to find books that represent them. And we also want kids who are white or who are from a sort of mainstream background are able to really find books that they learn something about a different life experience or a different way that people live their lives, so that they can increase some empathy and understanding.
Can you talk about the origin of the Juneteenth holiday and what the event recognizes?
Sure. So the Juneteenth holiday recognizes the official end of slavery in 1865, which was actually 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was proclaimed. And that's because soldiers weren't able to notify everybody in all of the states about the Emancipation Proclamation until after the Civil War ended. And so eventually troops were able to get to Texas, and they were able to tell the enslaved people there that they were free. And so that from then on was known as Juneteenth because it was the combination of June and 19th, which was the date that they were given this decree. And then from there, the following year was the first Juneteenth celebration that's on record. And it really just involved people singing, sharing food, having a barbecue, wearing new clothes that kind of signified their freedom. And it built from there. And eventually people started moving to other parts of the country and out of Texas where the holiday originated. And so the Juneteenth holiday started to spread across the country. So it's also known as Freedom Day, the second Independence Day. And it's a very important holiday for all Americans to celebrate, as it was the end of slavery.
Can you tell us about some of the performances that take place at the Juneteenth celebration in Walpole?
Yeah, so every year it's a little bit different depending on who we have come to do the performances, but it's usually filled with music, dancing. We oftentimes have people doing speeches or spoken word. We always have a storyteller there every year who does a story for the kids, and the kids love him, and he's really engaging. And yeah, it's just a good time with good music. We try to get several food trucks there so we can have some good food. And we also have vendors who are there to either tell folks about their organization or businesses or to sell items. And this year, I believe we have 21 vendors who will be there.
Can you talk about some of the educational activities that are at the Juneteenth celebration?
Yeah, so in the past, we have had information out about the Juneteenth holiday. We've also had a notable persons walk that kids could walk through and learn about different important figures who were either important to the holiday or were important Black Americans, so they can learn about them. We usually have a little craft that kids can do that again kind of teaches them about Juneteenth and the Juneteenth flag. Last year we had our first Juneteenth flag raising and helped people understand what the Juneteenth flag signifies. So yeah, every year we have something a little bit different, but want to continue to make sure people understand really the origins of the holiday.
Moving on to the Pride celebration, can you tell us about the origins of Pride Month? And I know, Cassie, you were the lead organizer of this event, so I'll direct that one to you. If you could tell us about the origins of Pride Month and what the event signifies.
Yes, so on June 28th, 1969 was the beginning of the Stonewall Uprising, which was a series of events between police and LGBTQ plus protesters. These events lasted over the next 6 days. This event really changed the discourse surrounding the LGBTQ plus activism in the US. So since then, annually, Pride is held in June to commemorate the uprising and to also celebrate LGBTQ plus rights and to promote visibility and acceptance.
Can you talk about what inspired Be Inclusive's first annual Pride event back in 2024, and about the process of organizing that event?
Yeah, so a few years before that, there had been many people wanting Pride events and expressing throughout the community that they thought it would be good for the community. It happened in June 24th just because a matter of timing and coming together and making sure we had the volunteers and energy to give to make the event successful. It was a great event and that many people would be able to come to and enjoy. It started with just a couple of volunteers as we started figuring out what we wanted to do and how we could do it, and then it grew from there as we gained more volunteers and more people heard about it. And it really blew up in June when when Pride Month started, so that way people started really giving ideas and donating money so that way we could have more events and things at the event. So it was just a matter of it all coming together. We had about 15 vendors at the time. We had entertainment, we had a photo booth, we had a children's area, we had some educational pieces in there as well, honoring the June 28th Stonewall Uprising, but then also having some education about the different identities and their flags.
Can you talk about why community engagement is important when it comes to the promotion of diversity and inclusion?
Yeah, so pretty much all of our events have come about because people from the community have come to us and said that they wanted to have the event or holiday or Identity Month celebrated in the town. And so we really don't do any events unless we're hearing that people want it and that people who identify with that identity or with that culture or background are participating in the planning. So we want to make sure that what we're putting out is authentic and what folks really want to see in town. So that piece of it is very important to make sure we have people involved who really have a drive and have a want to see it, and also have the ability to help with the planning and help us really make sure that the event is authentic and the way it should be celebrated. In addition to that, we also need the community to help as volunteers, as donors, to support our work by telling people about it. And so we really work very closely with our volunteers and with our board and everybody involved to make sure we're really connecting with folks and understanding what it is that people want to see in town and how we can make it happen.
How does it feel for you to come together with the organizers and board members and volunteers and everyone involved with Be Inclusive and work together to plan and host the events in Walpole?
To me, it felt as if I found my people and finding the people that want to celebrate our community and the diversity in it. And it's created friendships for us as we've kind of worked together through the struggles of what feels right for the community and how to do it all. And then, seeing it all come together just is really amazing to see everyone's hard work and putting it together, and then also being able to see the community really enjoy that and celebrate each other and come together to show that we are all accepting of each other and that we want us to celebrate all the different cultures and the diversity and the success that comes together with that.
Kristen.
That was a very good answer. Yeah, I think it's very inspiring and connecting to be able to work together like that. We don't always know how our events are going to be received or who's going to show up or if anybody's going to show up. And so it's just really inspiring when an event comes together and the people who are involved and who are attending the events enjoy themselves and are very happy to see that specific holiday or that specific event be part of the town culture now. And I also always think about the idea that, it doesn't take a huge act to make change. For Shantae and I, it really just started with this idea of having an event, and we had that one event, and it was great. And we were lucky enough to be able to continue this work and do more. But for other folks, it's just volunteering for one of our events or helping pick out the books for the Multicultural Books Initiative. And all of those little things really help us make change and really shift the way that people are feeling in our community and how connected they feel to their neighbors and to the community members and the schools. And so, it just takes one little small step and, you can make a change. And that's what I often feel and see when I'm with our volunteers and our board and everybody who helps us.
And if somebody would like to get involved with Be Inclusive in any way, how can they do so?
So they can visit our website, which is beinclusivema.org, and there's a form on there that they can fill out, and it sends an email to us, or you can just email us directly at info@beinclusivema.org, and just let us know that you're interested in volunteering, and then we will get in touch.
I was really happy and very excited to get the opportunity to come out here. And every single person who I told that you guys were doing Pride, they were like, Walpole has a Pride? And that's such a great thing to hear because they should know. Yes, Walpole has a Pride and we are here celebrating, aren't we, today? Yes.
Oh my God, it was amazing.
We were blown away.
I'm not gonna
Genuinely blown away.
I was like, Walpole Pride, and I like I said on stage, I was one of the people being like, Walpole has a pride. And as I also said on stage, that is such a great thing to hear because it means that things are being talked about. People are pushing for those changes. The fact that people are saying, oh, Walpole has a pride with a question mark at the end means that there were enough people in this community that wanted this pride to be here, that it is now here. And I said, this is 2025. People are saying, oh my gosh, Walpole has a pride. By 2029, people are going to be, are you going to Walpole Pride? When are you getting to Walpole Pride? And that's what, I'm so glad that we got to be a part of that. And like I said, this is where the change starts. Drag performance is an art form that originated in the Vogue and ballroom scene in the 80s and 90s. It was a way to celebrate queer art outside of the public view and create a sense of community in a time when people were getting kicked out of their houses and dying on the streets. And, out of strife comes beauty and joy and art.
Perseverance.
And perseverance, most importantly. What does it mean to you?
Drag for me has always been a way to express myself on stage, a way to get out there, be a part of my community, but also feel like I'm giving something back, giving something to not just the people watching, but also the people who want something more from their lives. We met a bunch of kids today that were like, hey, I want to do this when I'm older. And knowing we're setting an example for what the future could look like, that's incredible.
I am holding on to a lot of hope. 2025 has been a year of development. And whether that is forwards or backwards, things are changing. And I feel like I get to be part of that change. And doing drag is a way that I get to put my hands on that change and be a part of that change in the community and kind of take my part in steering towards the future that I would like to see, which is, more inclusion for trans people, more acceptance. It's really not about creating or pushing more trans people, but creating a society where trans people can feel comfortable to have those conversations and not be afraid for their lives or, be afraid to be themselves.
Yeah, 2025 has been really interesting for us. I think as we see this weird push away from all things considered different, we'll say. I feel our whole community keeps coming together, and it kind of feels like oil and water. There's this big separation, but all of the oil droplets, they're pushing together and becoming bigger and stronger, and it feels like we're waiting for an emulsifier. We're waiting for somebody to pull us in and make us feel like we're not just welcome but accepted.
Yeah.
And we're doing that for our community, And we're hoping that we're doing that for the community at large. And really for the future, I would just like to see more local appreciation of art. We see a lot of like big shout outs to like Rue Girls, and we love Drag Race.
girls. Okay, I've met a lot of them.
But to get there, it takes people like us. It takes people like everybody watching at home, showing up to shows and just like giving a little bit here and there and showing up for their community when they can. And
Change starts here.
yeah, we want a brighter community, and that like the future is brighter with a better community.
Yeah,
I think we should also say thank you to the people who put this together.
absolutely.
It is thanks to those people that like today was even possible.
Yes.
And we felt the love today.
Yes.
We perform all of the time, daily, sometimes. And today's was a very like
This was special.
we took an extra 30 minutes out just to meet people because we were like, well, we could leave if we wanted to, but this was nice. Like this felt good. So thank you, Walpole.
Yeah.
Thank you, Walpole.
Thank you, Walpole.
You guys were fantastic. Amazing.